And then, Kev, you moved from Preston to West Bromwich Albion. And listen to this, Kev. I don't know whether you probably do know it because you love these facts about yourself. You broke the transfer. You broke the transfer record in 1997 when you cost West Brom 1 million, a record which has stood since 1979. You're only 2 when that record stood since. So how did that feel, going to West Bromwich for £1 million?
It was 1.25 actually, Leon. But anyway.
Okay. That's where you got your 10% from, Kev.
There you go. No, I was the first £1 million player to play for West Brom, so it's nice, isn't it, when you have that little thing that's thrown at you. I was the first £1 million player to be sold by Preston. I still am the only £1 million player to ever come through Preston North End's academy. So that's certainly nice as well to have that on your CV, I suppose. But I think moving to West Brom, I actually felt a lot of pressure with that move because it had come around for a long time. Ray Harford was the manager. Ray Harford, who most people would know of his association when Blackburn Rovers won the Premier League in '96, I think it was, when you'll probably tell me that, Leon. Yeah. He was Kenny Dalglish's assistant. And, you know, when I've spoken to lads that have played under him, Alan Shearer would be a huge admirer of Ray Harford. He constantly says he's the best coach he played under. I only had him for about 8 months or so. But he was brilliant. Honestly, I would have loved to have worked for Ray for 4 or 5 years. I think I'd have been a different player through my career if I'd have been able to do that. But Ray went to QPR afterwards, and he eased me when I went there because I felt a lot of pressure with that transfer fee. Certainly from the West Brom fans, with even myself personally, the enormity of it. I think at that time I was starting to make an impression in the international setup. That's where, from playing under 21 football at that time, I was still only 20. I was a boy really, and obviously moving to the big city in Birmingham. So there was a lot going on, I think at that time. But I think certainly from a professional point of view, I loved it. And I had certainly the first season at West Brom was up and down. Second half of that season, we had a change of manager. As I said, Ray left and went to QPR. So there's a lot of change at the club. And the next couple of years at West Brom was a little bit rocky, but I felt as though that I went from strength to strength during that time and got better and better during my time at West Brom over the 2 or 3 years that I was there.
And tell us, Kev, what was it about Ray that you would say was going to make you a better player if he had stayed there, or your career might have been differently? What was he good at?
Well, do you know, me as a player, I mean, most people remember me. I think even you remember me now when I played as a left back, Leon. Everyone always remembered me. But when I was a youngster, literally my instruction on the pitch was, you don't have to bother with anything defensively. We'll get you the ball and you go and do your stuff. Stay out wide, stay in positions. It was a different game, of course, then as well. But it was literally me had to just go and just try and just get us up the pitch, go and beat defenders, and that was my game. A little bit of pace and power that I had about me. And Ray had a way of working with wingers and fullbacks, which was just absolutely brilliant, because he'd always tell players, wherever you are on the pitch, predominantly sides would always play 4-4-2, certainly 2 up front. You might have 3 in midfield and you might go 4-5-1 with 1 off the striker, but predominantly it would always be 4 in midfield and 2 up front, as everybody would know. And he'd always tell people about partnerships. He would get into players' heads on the pitch. We used to work on it tirelessly on the training ground. 2 strikers always play together, 2 central midfielders play together, know your distances between each other. And especially for me as a wide player in those days, my link up with my left back was key to how we used to play, and how I would make a run influence the fullback, how the fullback made a run influence me, and how you linked up with strikers, and how you got little bits of interplay between the two of you, predominantly between the two of you. And I used to love what he used to do in the wide areas, and that was I feel his biggest skill on the training ground, knowing the players' positions rather than actually looking at an 11. I think coaching nowadays, the way that it's gone, is all about the 11 on the pitch, and everybody knows positionally where everybody else is. I think he got into players' heads about how to play individually or in little pairings on the pitch, and that was he was genius at it. He was so good at working with individuals and that little partnership between certain positions on the pitch.